All right, Melissa, thank you. It is going to be a busy week, that is for sure. All right, one of the first lawsuits to be filed against the executive order from the president came from 3 Texas landowners. Portions of their land would be able to be seized to make a wall. We're, of course, talking about the border wall following the president's declaring of a national emergency. Now, the argument for each potential lawsuit is that the president's national emergency call is an overreach of President Trump's powers. So something else to talk about here in terms of the debate going on with this order. You're taking a live look at a protest happening right now in D.C. over the president's declaration of a national emergency, again, as he grabs that money from Congress for a border wall. These are local activists protesting in Lafayette Square at the White House in response to the president's declaration. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the rest of the day. Again, let's listen in for just a moment here.
Good afternoon, everyone. That's what I'm saying. That's a 6 out of 10. I need a 10 out of 10. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, that's the first test you passed. Thank you. All right. I'm Reggie Hubbard. I work with Move On.
So again, you're listening in there on that protest. So the White House is strongly defending President Trump's declaration of this national emergency on the U.S.-Mexico border. In fact, senior advisor Stephen Miller indicates the president is ready to veto any effort made by Congress to overturn that move. The president said on Friday he expected to be sued, then predicted he's going to win. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill.
If the president can't defend this country, then he cannot fulfill his constitutional oath of office.
White House senior advisor Stephen Miller defended President Trump's controversial move Sunday.
He could choose to ignore this crisis, choose to ignore this emergency, as others have, but that's not what he's going to do.
But the president's own words,
I didn't need to do this, but I'd rather do it much faster,
may have opened him up to legal challenges, including one being filed by California's Attorney General and at least 6 other states. Declaring a national emergency enables the president to take funds from the Defense Department and other agencies to build a border wall.
It's a dangerous precedent.
We should not set the terrible precedent of letting a president declare a national emergency simply as a way of getting around the congressional appropriation process.
A resolution of disapproval is likely to pass the House and Senate, but it would take a 2/3 vote in both chambers to override a presidential veto. Republican Congressman Jim Jordan supports the president.
I don't think there's any chance that the veto will be overridden. I think there are plenty of votes in the House to make sure that there's no override of the president's veto. So it's going to be settled in court. We'll have to wait and see.
So where would that money come from? President Trump's plan would divert $3.6 billion earmarked for U.S. military construction projects to fund his wall. Those construction projects could include improvements to things like military hospitals, infrastructure, and housing. Just days before the president's announcement, military families testified in Congress about dangerous living conditions in military housing, plus the desperate need for improvements.
Mold was growing out of the wall of our shower. They told us, and this is a direct quote, "Let the mold just fall out."
Other major problems facing military installations: lead in the water, asbestos, leaking ceilings, roaches, mice, and rats. Over the weekend, the acting Secretary of Defense said he hadn't made a decision on whether the border wall is a military necessity, but suggested that money for military housing would be protected.